Hello, goddesses. Welcome back to Habits of a Goddess YouTube channel. Um, so today's video has been a request from one of my lovely listeners. She reached out to me a few weeks ago about creating an episode on the podcast about how to deal with grief. And I thought, that topic needs to have its own video here on YouTube as well because affirmations are great, tool that I've used in the past to deal with grief, but I feel like just me getting personal and sharing my story with you guys, I feel like that can help connect us more in an intimate way and share like how I've personally dealt with grief in my life because I know for me, when you can identify yourself with someone like on the internet, right? You start to pay attention to how they are able to navigate in this world. And I know for me, I did that through other spiritual leaders and teachers, and they've shared their stories, like things that they overcome in life. And I would always, look at them as an example of how to overcome things that was similar in my life. And so I want to state that I am someone who didn't realize and recognize that I had a lot of trauma in my childhood and a lot of things that happened to me very early that I didn't have time to really grieve and process because I was like detached from it for so long. And then when I became an adult, I realized that those things I needed to really fully identify with. I need to really fully like address in my adulthood, and if I need to cry it out and just process it as an adult, because as a child your mind is just operating a little different. So for those who don't know, I want to share my story with you guys, and that's why this topic is really close and sincere to my heart. And I want to say thank you again to the listener for Habits of a Goddess podcast that reached out to me and requested this topic. So when I was 2 years old, I lost both of my parents due to domestic violence. My father, I really didn't know much about him or his family side because I was 2 years old. And my father decided that he wanted to take the family, take us all together. And obviously that didn't happen because I'm here today, but I've never shared this story publicly. And so I just, I know that feeling of just feeling like, who am I? Like lost, because it happened at a very young age and I couldn't grasp that at 2 years old. But my father took my mom's life and then turned around and took his own life. And that was something I had to deal with growing up, because when I became more, curious to kind of question like my grandmother who raised me, I started questioning and asking like, why don't I have parents? I would see kids like their moms would come on like parent days, or their dads would come like on, parent days and have lunch with them, or go on field trips. And I used to always wonder, like, where were my parents? And my grandmother never really talked much about that for me growing up, because she couldn't really face me and tell me the story of what happened to my parents. She was still going through it, reliving it over and over, even though, it happened like years ago. And so I remember sitting down in the living room facing her and asking her questions, and I was crying because I was searching for answers. And I felt this sense of emptiness as a kid. I didn't really fully understand like what was, my story. I didn't understand like why I had to grow up without parents, because I didn't know any other kids from my school that didn't have both of their parents, or at least one of their parents, but I didn't know anyone that had a story like mine. And so that caused me to really, really feel depressed. I had thoughts as a child, just feeling like abandoned and not wanted, because I was trying to figure out like why would my dad want to do that? So a lot of that built up inside of me. And so as an adult, I didn't realize this, but that just alone, a significant event in my life, I didn't process as a child. And so when I became an adult, that still carried on with me in my adulthood, in my adult life. And that really plays out in different scenarios in your life, in relationships that you have with friendships or a romantic partner. A lot of times it stems from our childhood, like how we act out as an adult. And so I want to say that I didn't realize that I never grieved the loss of my parents. I never honored my parents, especially on like Mother's Day or Father's Day or just, their birthdays. I didn't really take time I didn't have much information, right? And so I wasn't understanding what I was feeling because I knew that something was off. I just didn't understand how to deal with it. And that was grief, right? So one of the ways that I dealt with it, and this portion of this video is sponsored, is through therapy. So BetterHelp is an online therapy service that you guys can check out. You can fill out a questionnaire and it will guide you and match you with the perfect therapist based off what you're searching for. And you can use my code Habits of a Goddess for 10% off your first month. They offer that to my listeners because I know that I'm not the only one that has experienced, a time in my life where I needed to talk to someone, a professional, to help me process things that happened significantly in my life. And grieving has been one of those events, right, of my parents. And therapy is a great tool, a great resource that you guys can use on your journey and to not feel judged too, because when you're sitting in therapy, you have someone that, they're not going to share what you talk about in your sessions. They have compassion, and a lot of times they've been through similar things that maybe you're sharing with them, or they've had people that they've helped on their journey that experienced things in their life that they can share tools and resources to help you overcome things that is going on in your life. So I highly recommend checking out betterhelp.com/habitsofagoddess and make sure you guys are, using that as a tool to help you during your grieving process. Just know you have access to it, and it's something that I've used in the past. Therapy has been one way of just really dealing with things that have caused me to realize that, hey, as an adult, I have the power and I can, fully take charge of my life and create the reality that I desire. So make sure you guys check out betterhelp.com/habitsofagoddess to take 10% off your first month of therapy. So I definitely had to share that with you guys because, they offer that to my listeners, and that shows you that, hey, like I'm reaching, people all over the world, and I know that they could benefit from therapy. So therapy was one of the ways that I was able to process and deal with grief in my life, especially the loss of my parents at a very young age, and just being, in a space where I don't feel like judged, because I didn't know how to deal with knowing that my father, took my mom's life and then took his own life. It's like you want to love your parents, but then it's like, how do you process your emotions? Like, should you be angry? Like, should you be, like what emotions are going through your head? And so I never dealt with that in my childhood because I just simply couldn't. Like, therapy wasn't an option. I didn't have access to it. And, it wasn't something that was open discussed in my upbringing. It was definitely something that was taboo, and people did judge you if you did go to therapy. And so as an adult, I made a decision to take control over my life and just to access resources that I was was discovering that could help me on my journey to heal and grow and just become a better version of myself. So if you're someone who is dealing with maybe the loss of, a parent, or maybe the loss of a significant spouse, or maybe the loss of, anything that's special to you in your heart, I would highly recommend checking out a therapist and just having like an open mind and open heart to starting that journey to understanding like what it is that you're feeling, your emotions. Like, it's okay to let them flow through you and learn that, therapy is a great tool. Addition, listening to Habits of a Goddess, that can be definitely a great tool to continue, just dealing with whatever it is that you're going through, specifically for that, right? Learning to maybe forgive anyone or anything that you feel like during your grieving process. A lot of times it could be someone that passed on and we feel like we didn't really get a chance to make up, right? Like maybe you ended things on bad terms and you find out that they transition and you feel guilty for whatever it is that you're going through with them, right? And you ended the relationship or friendship, whatever it is, right? And so we deal with a lot of things on a daily basis, and I just want to say, like, just to be kind and gentle to yourself, because that has been something I've been working on. And I know that a lot of times we are in our own head and we are maybe not as being kind to ourselves that we portray to be. And so I just want to say that you're not alone on this journey, and that you have a community of women who are like-minded, that are looking forward to healing, growing, and evolving. And so you have Habits of a Goddess, and you also have BetterHelp to help you on that journey of healing. And if you're grieving, going through loss of a family member or a pet, anything, like, don't be afraid to reach out to someone and let them know like what you're going through, because there are people here in the world that is looking to help you, whether that's helping you with just being a listener, listening to you, just giving you tools and access to resources that can help you on your journey. So I hope this video helps you and brings some light to your life and love to your life, because I know we need more of that in the world, and that's what Habits of a Goddess is about. A community of women who are evolving in love and light. And so make sure you guys check out Habits of a Goddess podcast and BetterHelp. And also don't forget, you get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp when you use the code Habits of a Goddess. So take full advantage of that. I'm an advocate for mental health, and I love you, I appreciate you, and I wish you abundance of love and light on your healing journey. So until next time, goddesses, I will see you in the next video. Bye.